Not completely sure, but it's delicious. Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new year of Self-Serving Skillet. I'm going to try to do things a little bit differently this year. I want to do sort of monthly themes. So what can we make use of in January? Well, January, at least in the north, is sort of prime soup season. So today I'm going to go through making a couple of different stocks, a couple of different soup bases, and then the rest of the month we're going to make some soup with them. So what's the difference between a stock and a broth? Very simply, a stock has to come from live stock. Stock contains bones. Here I have some beef knuckles. These were about $7 a pound, and they've got a whole bunch of marrow inside. These are gonna cook down so nicely and just add such a wonderful velvety texture to our stock. A lot of collagen in there. And then for my chicken stock, I have here chicken feet. These were about $2 a pound, and this whole bag is just shy of a pound. We're gonna get started here by dropping these in some water to boil. You need to boil them for about 10 minutes. Remove the skin. I'm dancing with myself. Chicken feet are all connective tissue and bone and collagen. Like, they're gonna break down so nicely and give us the same idea as these beef knuckles here. So what's going in? Keep in mind that I'm making two separate stocks. I'm making about a gallon, 4 liters of each. 4 onions quartered with the skin on. 2 whole bulks of garlic, also skin on, top cut off. I want those cloves a little bit exposed. About 8 stalks of celery, just kind of cut in the middle so that they don't get stuck stirring in the pot. 3 tomatoes quartered. You want to use whatever aromatics are available to you. Another thing that I'm going to use are some carrots. These things grow in the ground, so just make sure to give them a nice wash before you use them. And then another consideration here is that my chicken stock is going to take maybe about an hour and a half, and my beef stock with much bigger bones is going to take about 5 or 6 hours. I do want to keep that in mind when I'm cutting my vegetables. So I'm just going to take the 2 big ones here and cut them lengthwise down the middle for use in that chicken stock. And then the smaller ones, now keep in mind that's still about 1.5 inches, 4 centimeters across. Just gonna chop the top, throw it in. Parsnips, turnip. This is a purple top turnip. Classic winter root vegetables, classic winter stew vegetables. Another good one is rutabaga, but I couldn't find one that I liked. If you don't like something, don't put it in. Same with water. If you don't like the taste of your water, get a water filter. If you don't like the taste of your water, just having a glass of water, you're not gonna like it in coffee, you're not gonna like it in soups, stocks, broths. The beef stock is gonna be a bigger flavor, so I want a little bit more layers of flavor in there. The chicken stock's also going to be very nice, but I do want to tone it down a little bit, celebrate that chicken. And we want to coat these in olive oil, rub them all down so they get all coated. And you might say, Curtis, that's a lot of vegetables. Well, we're making 2 different stocks, and the nice thing about stock is that it takes a long time to make. And so you might as well make a bunch because you can freeze it. And the next time you want soup, your work is half done. The 2 stocks that I'm making today are called brown stocks. And there are brown stocks and there are white stocks. And the people who named white stocks must be the same people who named white wine because it's not white, it's yellow. In my opinion, brown stock is far superior in flavor, superior in aroma. You only ever want to make a white stock if you're trying to make like a bechamel or something that needs to retain a very white color as your end product. 99% of your home cooking application, brown stock is going to be the best way to go. So a lot of brown stocks make use of tomato paste, and I'm just going to use the whole thing, and I'm just going to rub it sort of all over these vegetables. And this is going to help with the browning. This is going to help with acid to break down those flavors. You don't have to use the whole thing. If you have a squeeze tube of tomato paste, you only need a little bit, but I really don't want the rest of my tomato paste hanging out in my fridge, because about half the time I remember it's there, and about half the time I forget and it goes bad. So we're just going to use the whole thing. I want to also get my beef bones in there, give them a little olive oil, give them a little tomato paste. My chicken feet need about 10 minutes on that rolling boil for that skin to loosen up. I'm going to get my beef and the carrots that I left whole, the rutabaga, I don't have a rutabaga, the turnips, into the oven right now because it's going to take a little bit longer while I wait for those chicken feet. You can see that there's a lot of scum coming to the top, and at this point you can leave that there if you want. You don't have to skim it off because we're going to be removing all of this. We're going to be cleaning those feet. I just filled my pot too full, so I need the room. This step with the chicken feet is optional, as are actually most of these steps, but with every little thing you improve a little bit and you make a little bit better stock. I just like to put that pot in the sink, run cold water into it. Eventually it's going to cool those chicken feet down. Also, you don't need to buy specialty bones for this. You can save a chicken carcass or your Thanksgiving turkey or whatever you really want. Put those bones in the freezer. They're going to be great later. Say you're having drumsticks for dinner. Save those bones. Get those in the freezer too. Some of that flavor from those bones got infused into the meat, but I promise you there's still a little bit of life left in those bones. A lot of stock making is saving ingredients, and I save the cheese rinds from the Parmesan cheese that I grate. That's about half of the reason that I do it. And I also found this great cheese rind for sale at a place that shreds up some cheese for retail. $2. Why not? For those of you lucky enough to have been following me from the beginning, you'll remember my onion skins and garlic skins stock bowl. I don't really have the counter space for that at the new location, but onions sometimes do come in this mesh bag and the peels fall off. Anything that fell off of the garlic or onions while I was chopping them went into this bag. Let's see how these feet are doing. Alright, they're cooled off. I can dump that water. Now I gotta peel them. Some people say that the skin on the feet makes a bitter soup. I've never really noticed a difference, but I'm going to show you this anyway. Gotta get a little bit creative with it, get under the skin with your fingernails. Chicken feet in some cultures are actually called chicken paws. There's a pretty big pad at the bottom of this foot here, so I can understand why. And that's good enough. I'd say we're about 90% skinned. I'm going to take the skin off the rest of these, and we're going to get the rest of these vegetables in the oven. Get those chicken feet in the tomato paste. There's enough olive oil left in there too. For any vegetarians out there who have probably clicked away by now, you'll probably like the next thing I'm going to say. If you're not very keen on eating a chicken foot, I mean, you're not going to eat the actual foot, but you're going to make soup from it, you probably shouldn't be eating chicken. If this hits a little too close to home for you, I mean, you might want to rethink your priorities, or at least why you think the way that you do. Same 400-degree oven. We want to flip these with some frequency. I'd say every 15, 20 minutes, come over here, flip your stuff around. If it looks like it's getting too brown, we can pull it. And if not, just let it go. Just let it go. It's gonna get beautiful. It already smells like stew. It's a good opportunity to do your dishes, maybe make yourself a snack. We're not really gonna be doing anything for the next hour, hour and a half besides churning those ingredients. My hope with this is really to give everyone the principles of making stock, not a specific recipe for making every type of stock. So I'm making something that takes a little longer and something that comes out pretty quickly. Again, the longer and lower and slower you can let it go, usually the better this is going to be. So with that being said, I have 2 amounts of water in my pots here. My goal is to make a gallon of each type of stock. So I have about 1.25 gallons in this pot for my chicken stock and about 1.5 gallons in this pot for my beef stock, expecting a boil off rate to get me somewhere around 1 gallon as an end product. And you don't have to do that if math is not your thing. You can just add water at the end to get as much or as little stock as you'd like. You can always hydrate a concentrate, but you have to boil off excess liquid. So I would err on the side of less liquid. So to cool water, I'm going to add my first half of my ingredients, all of those root vegetables, those beef, marrow bones, which are letting off some beautifully rendered fat right now. I think they're going to be very nice in the end product here. Onions are nicely caramelized. It's going to give us a really beautiful sweet element, naturally sweet. Tomatoes, very nice. A lot of this is actually just going to break down in the stock itself. And then what you see left here on the bottom, no, that's all fat from our beef. So we're going to get a rubber spatula and get that in as well. About medium heat, we want this to simmer. Then in the pot we've prepared for our chicken stock, all the rest of it. And then all of this sort of roasty fond is still flavor, so I'm going to take something that's not going to hurt the pan and just give it a nice scrape. If you can't get it all off, that's not a huge problem. I'd rather try to get as much off as I can, because then I won't have to wash it as much. I'm still going to wash it. Again, medium heat, cover it up, and I'm going to set a timer for about 20 minutes. After that, I'll come back and see how they're simmering up. These are steaming up nicely. Alright, we have a gentle simmer there, so I'm not going to change a thing except to take the lid off, and not simmering quite yet. There is about 20% more water in here, so I'm just going to take the lid off and leave it. We're in it for the long haul over here anyway. I have about an hour or so left on the chicken stock, so I'm going to add just 1 bay leaf. I don't want it to overpower the stock at all. Just from personal experience, I know that I like a little cardamom in my chicken stock, so just smash a cardamom pod, take out all of the seeds there. This is really nice. This is black cardamom. I tend to like it a little bit more. I believe that it is fermented. Not completely sure, but it's delicious. It's also a good time to put my cheese rind in. That's going to add a ton of umami flavors. Gonna make it just very nice and savory, and I'll break it up between the two. I'm going to very lightly salt this chicken stock just so I can taste it, just so I can see where it is. That's a good stock. And keep in mind that as you're tasting these are just soup bases. If it's not perfect yet, you have more time to work on it when it's a soup. If it's not going to be a soup, you're going to put it in something as an ingredient, as a replacement for other liquids to get more flavor out of it. As long as it tastes like chicken, like beef, like the ingredients that you put in, you're good. So I like to use another stock pot, fine mesh strainer, turn that heat off, and it all comes out. Just let it sit there and drain for a minute. After it's had a chance to drain, I'm just going to take the rest of my ingredients, just shake that out as much as I can, and there's my stock. You can either put this in a larger bowl in an ice bath. It's winter here in Minnesota and I have a patio, so actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and stick this out on the patio. You never want to put this directly into the refrigerator. This is 200 degree, 93 Celsius gallon of liquid, and this is going to heat up your refrigerator really fast. Get this somewhere that's not your refrigerator until it's at least room temperature. Alright, in from the snow. It's nicely cooled down. Ah, that looks beautiful. Yeah, that's going to make a delicious soup. Let's portion it off. 4 quart-sized mason jars, 4 quarts is a gallon, so roughly 4 liters. Let's see what we've got. That water math was almost exact. Look at that difference right there. Right, we're gonna let those cool at room temperature for just another 20 minutes or so, cap them off, and then they'll be ready for the fridge. Let's check on this beef stock. Ah, that's perfect. It's just so savory. That's amazing. Let's get this into another stock pot. Make sure to label it, especially if it's going in the freezer. If it's going in the freezer, I include the year. If it's going in the refrigerator, I just do the month and date. Also, if it's going in the freezer, include a little bit of headspace, so automatically that one will probably be freezer stock. I just had a conversation with my roommate who's listening in right here. Why do you have to include the headspace? Well, your glass container is going to explode from the expanding liquid, from the expanding water, because water, which is just so special, decided that instead of shrinking under freezing temperatures, it's going to expand. I'm going to get these in their respective cold spaces. I'm going to lid this and let it rest outside. Next week, we're going to make some soup with these stocks. I'll see you then.